Hello, happy Sunday. Marissa here, popping in on our Empowerment Sharecast over on the Marco Polo app to pull our cards for the week ahead. So we're going to tap into our collective energy. If you're watching this on the Sharecast, welcome in. If you're seeing this on any of my social media channels, this is the card pull that we will be diving into over on the October Empowerment Sharecast. I invite you to join us. It's free, it's fun. We do intuitive card readings using tools and other fun goodies for connecting in with our own empowerment, insight, guidance as we move through each month. So every week we tap in here to our collective energies to pull 5 cards for a spread that we do, and then I offer you a complimentary personal card pull. So if you would like one, please feel free to quick reply to this polo, or if again seeing this on social media, go ahead and drop a comment, send me a message, and we will get you all set up to join us. The link is either in the caption or in my bio to hop on over to the free October Empowerment Sharecast. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're using our seasonal decks. Again, we were having so much fun with these decks. We've got the Trick or Treat Tarot, which last week brought us almost a clean sweep of court cards. So there was so much peopling, and I can attest, I don't know about you guys, but yes, I had all the tricks, mostly tricks, not as many treats in my dealings with all the people last week. There was a lot of things popping up for me that I definitely was feeling our collective cards as they came across our spread. So we're going to be using that deck again to see what's coming up for our 5 cards. We're also going to pull a bonus message from this awesome Halloween Oracle deck. I use this for all of the October empowerment readings, and we got some really powerful messages from this deck. And then when you request a personal card pull for this week, I'm going to be using the Tiny But Mighty Halloween Tarot. This is super fun. It also means that any of the cards that come up in our spread from this deck are in here, and they could come up, only further underscoring that energy for you personally. Or any of the cards that come forward, we're going to tap in to see how that card is interacting with the collective ones. So let's go ahead and get ready to shuffle up here, setting our intentions for the 5 positions of this spread. Each one is a placeholder for the day of the week, Monday through Friday, but of course, time is not linear. These cards will interact throughout the week, and as they are collective messages, you are always invited to take what resonates, leave the rest. But it's super cool to see how the energies are always at play in one way or another for each of us, coming up in so many different and unique ways, and yet many common threads, energetic chords, and vibrations that have been happening this very powerful month. In fact, this week is leading up to our new moon in Libra with that solar eclipse. So we will touch on that when I dive into these cards over on the Sharecast. So let's go ahead, see what is coming up here for Monday, which is kicking off our week, sort of giving us an overarching energy. One card here for Monday. Ooh, the Star. Awesome. So we've got a card of hope, healing, and renewal kicking off our week with this little ballerina in costume. Tuesday represents our potential block or challenge. What's coming forward here collectively for our potential block or challenge this week? One card here for Tuesday. Ooh, I'm seeing a theme here with these pink dresses. 5 of Swords. Ooh, interesting. We will get into that. 5 of Swords for our potential block or challenge. Then we have Wednesday, a midweek blessing. And actually Tuesday is going to be the 1010 portal, isn't it? Yeah, so we're going to talk about that too. We have some significant, powerful aspects building up this week, so we will touch on each. Wednesday's a midweek blessing. 2 of Pentacles. with the pirate mama there, balancing all the pumpkins. Thursday, how are we growing? How are we growing collectively as we move through this week, entering into this eclipse season? How are we growing? Nine of Swords. Okay, we have definitely got some things to talk about there. Friday is wrapping up the week. So one card to punctuate the week here. Wrapping it up for Friday. Ten of Pentacles. Got it. Oh my gosh, look at that. So fun. Monsters. Okay, so we've got our 5-card spread. Let's go ahead and pull our Halloween Oracle card to go with a bonus message for us as I think about all of the energetic happenings this week, maybe some guidance in and around this 1010 portal, around the 14th and the new moon in Libra solar eclipse. Just getting some guidance coming in here for all the energetic happenings. One card. I love this one. This just came up for someone the other day. The lamp with the keyword remembrance. So we are going to get into that as well. So stay tuned. I'm going to be popping on the Empowerment Sharecast now to start going through each of these cards, bringing through our messages. Again, if you are watching on social media, please check out the link. It's free. It's fun. Love to have you. Come check it out and request your personal card pull for the week ahead. All right, guys, let's go ahead and see what's coming up. Hello and welcome to the second week of October here in eclipse season. We are going to touch on some of the notable aspects of the energetic weather that is coming through this week. It is a week that begins with some significant energies moving and shifting. We have a 1010 portal this week, and then we end the week going into the weekend with our new moon eclipse in the sign of Libra happening on Saturday the 14th, depending on where you are in the world. And that is going to mark the first of the 2 eclipses that we are moving through this month, bringing in our tricks, treats, and transformations. So let's start talking about some of this energetic weather that is coming through, starting with today. As I record this, it is Sunday, October 8th, where we have Venus starring the show here, leaving her shadow phase. As you may recall, Venus went retrograde in July and came direct in September on the 3rd. However, she has been in her post-shadow phase. And all the while, we have been having issues and awarenesses coming to the surface around relationships and all the different aspects that Venus highlights for us, coupled with the fact that we are in Libra season. So it has been all about and continues to be relationships, balance, healing, and harmony in our relationships of all kinds. So this was just another aspect that was contributing here. She has now officially left the shadow phase, and we may be feeling some reprieve or clarity or new beginnings around areas of the heart and relationships of all kinds. So that is something that has been unfolding here today. And then as we step into the week, some of the highlights include October 10th, which is, of course, the 1010 portal. We're going to talk about that throughout the week. I'm going to be doing a pick a door card pull here on Marco Polo on our Sharecast this week with some special messages on and around the 1010 portal. But also happening on the 10th, Pluto stations direct in Capricorn. So Pluto has been retrograde since May. And for the last few months, we've really had some strong retrograde activity from the planets. So this can, of course, as always, create a feeling of sluggishness or a feeling of being stuck. But more and more now, the planets are starting to shift direct, and Pluto is up with that this week. So now with Pluto moving direct, we may begin to see some things starting to move around us with a bit more speed and ease. We may feel it a bit easier to take steps forward, especially in some areas where we've been feeling controlled or suppressed in some way, because Pluto represents power. So often when it does station direct, we might find ourselves coming into a new personal power. If you've been dealing with any power struggles in your life, things could potentially start to feel easier from this point onwards. And especially because it is in the sign of Capricorn, Pluto is guiding us to express our power in a responsible way. So contemplating how can we step into our power so we can take responsibility for the things that are important to us. And I have my eye on some of the cards that are coming up this week that we're going to get into here in a few moments that I see perhaps giving us a little insight to that very question. Now, also this week, October 12th, Mars in Scorpio. So Mars, the fiery planet, will be entering into one of its favorite signs. Mars likes to be in the sign of Scorpio because here Mars can feel really strong and powerful and in control. Mars in Scorpio can really be quite passionate and there be a lot of that powerful energy behind it. So we can channel this energy to give some fire to our creative projects, to go after our passions and goals. We can use this energy to believe in ourselves and to unlock our inner warrior. So Mars in Scorpio is fantastic for reigniting our passion, but it's also highly spiritual. And in Scorpio, Mars can help us to become more proactive when it comes to making changes and embracing any transformative energies that may have found us. Well, being that we are in the month of tricks, treats, and transformations, and that just on the other side of this transit, we have this solar eclipse happening with this new moon in Libra, you can bet transformation is going to find you. None of us are exempt. So we're all having an opportunity here to really begin making some changes, embracing transformative actions, and delving deep to explore perhaps what's hidden beneath the surface. You know, Mars is going to give us some confidence to go there. And this would also be a fantastic time to perhaps explore some hidden traumas that may be things that have felt too difficult to confront, or any of those more painful or complicated emotions. Mars in Scorpio can give us the strength that is needed and the wisdom to see the magic where we currently are. I love that. We're going to talk about that too. I'm looking at how we're growing this week and feeling some resonance there too. And then finally, at the end of our week, you know, we pull our cards through Friday. On Saturday, October 14th, we have one of the key events of the month and of the year, and that is this new moon solar eclipse in Libra. And as part of this new eclipse cycle that actually began back in April of this year, that is what is kicking off here with this eclipse. So back in April, we had the Aries new moon solar eclipse, and both of these eclipses will be working together. So once again, we get in our time machine, cast your mind way back to April of this year. What themes were prevalent for you back then? This eclipse is likely to expand on those themes and to help push you further from your comfort zone into a place of greater beauty. That's the thing. Yes, when I say no one's escaping transformation, it's not meant to be intimidating. This is actually an exciting time. Remember, we talked last week that we are putting our focus on the potential with some excitement, with some curiosity to look ahead and wonder, you know, where to from here. And so, you know, this could be highlighting for us being in the sign of Libra, with the sun also in Libra, the way we relate to others. And so that could be a theme around this eclipse. We could be feeling triggered in a relationship, or simply be looking at ourselves when it comes to how we choose to connect with others. So again, I have a special that's available if you are interested in going deeper, in doing some of this work. I have a very special reading. It is a Libra season relationship reading. It's an amazing deal. It's right here on Marco Polo that you receive your personal card spread, which looks at the sixes of the tarot, but pulls from the entire tarot deck, as well as some bonus oracle messages for helping you with navigating any particular relationship in your life. You and someone else, you and a situation, you and aspects of yourself, or with a thing. Whatever is coming up for you, we can delve deeper. So just know that that is an option for you throughout this Libra season, but can be especially potent here around this new moon as you set some intentions and plant some seeds around what you wish to manifest within your relationships. So, as this eclipse cycle is just in its beginnings, it's likely that more will become revealed in the years to come. The reverberations that come from the eclipse can be felt long after as the cycle continues. So, just the way that we can align ourselves and attune to this energy is really by raising our vibration. Staying in that high vibe whenever possible, staying open, staying objective, just allowing. So stay open to the gifts and the gratitude of the universe, and just welcome in this love into your life with a more open heart. Again, a degree of excitement and, just desire to see what lies ahead for you, trusting that it is all unfolding for you. So eclipse energies, of course, can be powerful, challenging. So this eclipse does have some soft, sweet energy to counterbalance whatever those bumps are that are coming up for you. Now, if you're with me for the Empowerment Pack this month, we're going to be diving deep. We'll be getting set for our reading this month for the new moon. This week, I've already chosen our spread and have begun to tap into those energies. If anyone would like to come along just for the new moon reading, you are welcome to. Please feel free to reach out to me and we'll get you all set up to join us for the 5-card spread, I believe it is. I think it's 5-card spread, and then we'll be pulling personal oracle card messages just for you. So those are the highlights that we have coming in here this week. We're going to roll now into our oracle card pull that is bringing us a special message infused with the messages of the 1010 portal and the new moon, and then we will launch into our Monday through Friday cards next. Okay, here we have our Halloween oracle card that has come forward to illuminate an extra message for us this week as we move through these powerful energies. And the card that's come forward is the lamp, remembrance. And the message says, I light a single candle within a lamp for you, a single flame in the darkness that reflects my heart so true. And it goes on to say that whilst it is a tradition to carve a jack-o'-lantern to scare away spirits, it was an older tradition still to light a candle or lamp on Halloween night and leave it at the window as a loving guide home for those who have passed. That's really beautiful. Both as a symbol of remembrance and also as a kind of leaving the lights on for those who may wish to come home. The lamp was left on to illuminate the night and perhaps even the sadness that was felt because of the passing. This card reminds us that it is a positive thing to remember those who have passed by celebrating their life rather than mourning their death. For those with whom we did not have an easy relationship, or even those we did not like, leave us with valuable lessons. Sometimes we learn more from our nemesis than we do from our friends, and so the darkness can illuminate our strengths and our true values so that we can live them more clearly and fully. Yeah, I mentioned when I was doing the card pull that I was definitely experiencing all the peopling that was coming up for our week last week. I wonder how it turned out for you. But if you remember, 4 out of 5 cards were court cards, and then we had that 5 of cups spilling the blood punch, and really looking at redirecting our focus to those full cups, the upright cups, the blessings in our life. And, the peopling, especially because of the costumes, it's kind of fun to tap into what the different archetypes might be and some of the different circumstances. And as I look ahead to this week, I see some too that are jumping out to me that, as this is saying, that sometimes it is the more gnarly relationships, the nemesis, the ones that are the most challenging, that can actually illuminate our strengths and our values the most. You know, it gives us that contrast. It gives us the irritation, you know, that brings us to step forward and shine our brightest light. And so, you know, there's kind of a dual message here with this card. On one hand, it's definitely giving us a nod to this season, the thinning of the veil, connecting with our ancestors, this beautiful energy of leaving the light on. And I like how we're shining it boldly and looking at it from that perspective, but also as it went on to talk about some of those relationship dynamics, that shine your light boldly and be who you are, recognizing that, you know, you're going to come up against others that are going to challenge that. And sometimes, in fact, the brighter you shine, the more you will notice that type of attention, you know, that could be coming in around you. And there being this, you know, opportunity for us to hold our light, to continue to shine, to not dim, you know, what we are bringing out into the world. And so that has been an ongoing message here, as relationships have been so highlighted for so long, as I was talking about with the Venus energy, and now here in Libra season. This really seems to be something that is on the docket for looking at our relationships and how they are serving us with exactly what we need for our soul's growth, healing, and expansion. And so that may very well be the tricky stuff. It can be the stuff that isn't preferred, you know, the things that are the most challenging. And challenging is just one word to cover all the words of how it can trigger you and incite feelings in you, you know, in some of these more challenging dynamics. So I've definitely been feeling that energy, you know, sort of coming up within me. And I think to the extent that we can think about, you know, the fuel, you know, what is fueling us? And if we're coming from a place that is seeking out the growth and the lessons in all things, coming from a place of holding that gratitude and celebration for the way that relationships have shown up in our life of all kinds, in order to come into more clarity and fullness in shining our light. So we'll see where that takes us. We have a lot of different characters here on the altar to get into. So we're going to flip over now and bring up each card from Monday through Friday to take a look and see what is on deck for us here this week. And just remember, if you would like a personal card pull to go with these messages, feel free to respond to the polo here or send me a message. Okay, let's take a look. Hello, here we go. We are launching in for our week ahead messages, starting with the Monday card, where we have the very beautiful star energy coming forward. So the star is a major arcana card that speaks of wishes, wishing on a star. It's about hope and renewal, faith, healing. So it actually feels like a really soft and lovely energy to sort of be setting the tone for this week, when there is so much going on, as I was just touching on some of the energetic weather that's moving through. We're also going to talk, I didn't mention that actually we have a Friday the 13th this week as well, and what that's about for me as far as the mindset, that energy, the power that we give to anything, but in this case, something like Friday the 13th. So we'll talk about that when we get to the Friday card. But this card coming in just feels really, really beautiful, hopeful. Now what we have here, and I'll show you the picture in the book because it's easier to see, we have a little ballerina here. So she is the star, right? And perhaps feeling into this energy of, you know, being a star, or, you know, fully expression, like a full expression of self. And there's an energy around the idea of, you know, things that we are wanting to do and be and achieve, and whatever those wishes are, as we are in this new moon week, this is the time to think about what are those wishes, and we can dream big and think big. And it's literally like with the toe shoes, you know, like standing on our tippy toes, you know, reaching for something beyond and going the distance. And one of the things that I was feeling here in that, you know, we're going to see a lot of people on these cards because they're characters in costume. And so there is this energy of, you know, even if just for a moment, embodying, dressing up as, playing the part of something that you admire, something that you aspire to in your life. And oftentimes, you know, you can get that phrase, fake it until you make it. I like to offer face it until you make it. So as we are doing this dance, which as we've been saying over and over, and we're going to keep saying about the tricks and the treats and the transformations that are all coming in this month, that can be a little tricky sometimes. There are going to be some missteps. There are going to be a couple sour notes when it comes to doing this dance for this new version of you that you are birthing, you know, the new things that you are calling into your life and taking those steps. And even just thinking about, I did ballet very briefly in my childhood that started out when I was like 7 years old, dancing ballet, and my teacher actually got into a really bad car accident, and it ended up kind of halting the training that we had, and I ended up never returning, and yet a friend of mine continued on. And I remember when I heard that she was doing toe shoes. You know, toe shoes are like the next level for ballet dancers, and there's all this, you know, about how much they beat up your feet, you know, all of the pain that you have to go through with those toes getting smushed into those shoes as they learn their steps. And so I'm feeling this energy of the growing pains, the expansion pains of playing these different roles and wearing these different costumes that we're trying on for size as we're figuring out what roles suit us best. But we face it until we make it, meaning hanging in there with the hope, the faith, the belief, and the renewal of spirit, and knowing that, you know, all of these tricky things, all of these things that we are navigating through in this transformation process are all a part of the experience that ultimately will be our unique dance, you know, the unique way, the unique path that we took to reach our wishes. And there's a lot of hope in that. And I don't mean that to be like in a, you know, hokey way, like, you know, oh, all of our wishes are coming true. But the more that we align ourselves from that higher frequency and stay in that place, we are calling in more of that energy and shining that from the inside out, which I feel with this card. And also, of course, our oracle message, the lamp, you know, that I was just talking about, of shining our light and leaving a light on. And, you know, again, having that faith, that belief, that knowingness that what is meant for me will never pass me by, and that each of these unique steps are all a part of my personal journey. So that's kicking off our week with the very beautiful energy of the star. And actually, I think it might be our only major arcana card this week. So that's just a significant energy that's looking to the stars. You know, look to the stars. Use this guidance, what we were just talking about in the prior polo, the two prior polos, of how we can work with these energies this week to align ourselves with the stars for the greatest, highest vibrational success. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming up for Tuesday with a potential block or challenge. Hello, here we go. We are launching in for our week ahead messages, starting with the Monday card, where we have the very beautiful star energy coming forward. So the star is a major arcana card that speaks of wishes, wishing on a star. It's about hope and renewal, faith, healing. So okay, Tuesday, we're tuning into a potential block or challenge this week, and we have a lot of activity going on in this Five of Swords. So we see the three characters here in the Five of Swords. This is a card that typically says victory at what cost? So it talks about whether or not the juice is worth the squeeze. It typically speaks to a hollow victory, one where someone is emerging, declaring that they are the victor, but they may have achieved this with disintegratous means, or, you know, it's not it's not the type of win that you really want to be bragging about. And you can see that better here. Again, we have our little storybook out for this Trick or Treat Tarot. And it's this fairy princess who's actually the one who's claiming to have won and boasting her winnings, while the other two are certainly feeling some type of way. And I thought I would share with you the story because I think it's a really interesting take here with this Five of Swords. And I think it speaks to even just hearkening back to what we were just talking about with the star. Our fairy princess is victorious. Her valor has allowed her to steal the swords from the orc and crayon. I thought of him as an ogre, but he's called an ORC, orc. An orc and crayon. And so the bards shall sing songs about her. At least that's how she sees things right now. But don't you think, though, that the orc and crayon feel differently? You can almost see that orc thinking, you won the battle, but the war isn't over. Fairy princess had better watch her back. When this card comes up, be very careful about how you approach success. There might be an easy path to victory, but think it through. Make sure you are not creating enemies or leaving existing ones with weapons they can use on you later. Be very sure that what you are getting is worth what you are paying for. Is the juice worth the squeeze? So on the other hand, if you are the apparent loser in the situation, see what is salvageable that can be used later. Look for potential allies and tools that can turn the tide in the future. This card brings choppy waters and danger. Navigate carefully. And so some of the key words that come here are aggression, victory, poor sportsmanship, defeat. And again, it can be like a disintegritous, dishonorable win. Now, I think it's interesting when it says, you know, make sure that you're not creating enemies or leaving existing ones with weapons they can use on you later. And remember, again, I feel this one keeps coming up. It talked about your nemesis. It talked about this energy. And, you know, I think some of the things that I've been getting and hearing is, you know, really being very thoughtful, mindful about who you are sharing with when it comes to, even if it is just venting, if it is just, you know, the swords are thoughts, ideas, you know, who are you sharing your ideas with, your process with, you know, in the process of whatever you're doing, whether you're creating something, beginning a new cycle in your life, if you're working on a project or whatever it is, you know, it can feel good sometimes to talk that out, to share, to just kind of get it all out. It's talking about being discerning with who you're sharing that with, and make sure that you're not setting yourself up for something that could turn around and get you there with those swords, you know, with that energy on the other side. Now, also the process that you're taking to success. Again, previously we just said with the star, fake it until you make it versus face it until you make it. And yeah, it's okay to try on different costumes, to try different paths and different, you know, different roles. And, you know, it's okay for you to change up who you are, because that's, you know, and again, the other people in the story, the other characters will notice when you set a boundary, when you set on a new path, when you want to try something new. Sometimes the other characters, you know, there's some stuck roles and expectations and things that have developed that somebody may not feel, you know, too, they might take notice. They will likely take notice that you're different, that you're acting different, responding different, initiating differently. And so this is all a part of this process, this dance of finding our way and being discerning about the people, places, and things that we surround ourselves with to take that journey. So a potential block or challenge this week could come in and around, you know, really being discerning about whether or not a relationship, a habit, a pattern, a routine is worth the squeeze. Are you getting the return on investment for the energy that you're putting into these things? Or is it bringing out of you an aspect of you that is of a lower vibration, that is really not what you're wanting to bring forward into the new, that you may wish to set your sword down, don't want to have a dog in that fight and actually walk away. So there's just some different aspects at play here that are challenging us to, again, stand in our authenticity and in our integrity and really be weighing out those Libran scales about whether or not something is a viable and valuable use of our energy. Okay, so let's take a look, see what's coming in as our midweek blessing. Okay, Wednesday is our midweek blessing, and we are juggling all the pumpkins here with the Two of Pentacles. So there's actually a lot of fun stuff going on in this card. So I'm going to share, again, the tricks and treats of the messages that are coming forward with this unique tarot, because I do feel that there's some breadcrumbs in here for certain people that you may identify with that rings true for you. So traditionally, Two of Pentacles, juggling, right? Juggling a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. And we see here the traditional nod with the pirate ship in the background. Those waters are choppy, indicating that there's a lot of movement. There's a lot going on that oftentimes has to do with bringing balance to, you know, the material, dense earth energy, and then the more spiritual or intangible, you know, and finding that balance between the two. And, you know personally, I have a very busy week this week. There's just a lot going on with my personal life right now, with my kids, we have a lot of milestone things happening. I've shared before that my oldest daughter is a senior this year, that she is working her way toward graduation this year. And there's a lot of exciting milestones. There's a lot of work that's going into, you know, making decisions about college. And she is an athlete, and she did get hurt, unfortunately, at the beginning of the season here. And she, up until last week, where she got to play for the first time, we're very excited that she had an opportunity to join her team again. It's been a long road. It's been very disappointing for her to move through all of that energy. And now this week, on 1010, the 1010 portal, we have a very special evening that's called Senior Night, where they honor the seniors, and the parents come and they're presenting their child with flowers and really celebrating them for all of their hard work and dedication to the sport that they love, to the team that they're a part of. So there's a lot that's going into all of that. Meanwhile, you know, all the other pumpkins also have things happening. So that's my material. You know, that's my day-to-day, the chopping wood, the carrying water. All the while over here, I'm like, ooh, it's the 1010 portal. I want to do a pick a card. I want to do all this cool stuff. I've got new moon readings jumping off. I have, you know, sessions scheduled. I have all this stuff that I want to juggle. And then I have other things, you know, that are just both demanding of time and energy that, you know, that's just one practical way that it shows up. And for those of you who may have children or dependents on you, you know that that is a whole nother, you know, level of responsibility in addition to your work, your personal life, you know, your own self-care, your other obligations, you know, all of the things. And so that is definitely something that we may very well be feeling here in the center of the week, but it's a blessing in the way that we have this opportunity to recognize each of these aspects that make up the wholeness of our life, and really recognizing, lots of times I get this, like, it's either like a garden or like we're cooking a big, beautiful meal, and you have all these ingredients, or you have all these plants and flowers, whatever is that makes up the diversity of this garden of your life, or this beautiful meal, this magic that you are making. Everything has different levels of required care: sunlight, water, ingredients, boiling, simmering, you know, roasting, all the different things that happen when you're moving all those parts, and they're very much timed and very much requiring of more or less energy from you in one form or another. So, you know, kind of picturing it that way, but recognizing, again, I keep brought back to this ballerina, the fine dance that it is, you know, and learning all those steps and learning the way to divvy out that energy as best we can. So bringing it into balance, which again, these pentacles show that, you know, infinity symbol of really bringing in that balance of the ongoing flow of energy. But let's talk about what's happening here. So here's our close-up look. I'm seeing a mama with 2 little trick-or-treaters and this 3rd little ninja cat going on. So there's a lot happening here. Hands are full of pumpkins. And it says, ahoy, matey. You better hold tight to your loot or some scallywag will steal you blind. Sure, they act like they just want to help, but where candy is concerned, it is best to be suspicious. It could be a group con. While you're distracted, some little ninja cat might swoop in and scoop up the goods. When this card shows up, you will have a lot going on. Seriously, multitasking doesn't even begin to cover it. Resources are limited and demand is high. Money, time, energy, materials, groceries, whatever your situation, you will have to juggle and dance to make ends meet. You can try keeping all the candy in the air, but for how long? You might want to take control of what you can, prioritize, and eliminate what you can. If that is absolutely not possible, then try to find a flow that will make it easier on yourself. So this is bringing in the energy of multitasking, balance, tight budget, comparison shopping, having calm in crisis. And so I would say, in terms of a blessing, it may be that you're turning a corner in that department, yes, the seas are rough. Yes, there's a lot going on. And I'll even say I'm a bit overwhelmed, but lists are our friend, prioritizing, taking a quiet moment to set some really attainable goals to work towards these different things, these different moving parts, these spinning plates that are going on. So, likely many of us are having a very busy, active week with a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, but just having the blessing in, number one, I'm just grateful that I have all of these, different things in my life that really make it a very full and diverse life, with all of these different, and if it's in the case of things that are being celebrated, birthdays, milestones, achievements, or even if it is, a lot of work, there's always these different layers of I'm grateful for having a job. I'm grateful for being able to get up in the morning and have my coffee for 5 minutes before it's time to launch into the chaos or whatever those things may be. Bringing ourselves back to center, bringing ourselves into finding the treats amongst the tricks. Again, finding that sweetness, finding the way that, yes, it's tricky. Yes, there's a lot of moving parts, but there is a lot of sweetness in there too. And really taking a moment to note that, and really feeling fulfilled by the fact that we maybe because that we're in such high demand, that we are dependent upon, whatever it may be, finding that silver lining and something that's helping to sort of help us feel fulfilled as if we are able to, get back at it, feeling renewed and able to, and again, renewed, healed, that star energy coming in, hopeful, hope-filled, really feeling that energy too. So let's go ahead and see how we are growing with the Thursday energy. Okay, Thursday is how we are growing. And we have the 9 of Swords here with a little bit of a haunted Beauty and the Beast action happening here. So we see Beauty, she's been awoken, she is surrounded by those swords and the roses, and this rather gruesome beast that we see here who is not who she was expecting. So there's this energy here of that Sleeping Beauty and kind of awakening to something. So what that talks about, we're talking about how we're growing, but the 9 of Swords is notorious for representing insomnia, the stuff that keeps us up at night, not sleeping well, not feeling very rested, not able to turn off the monkey mind or the hamster wheel. The swords are the thoughts, right? And the things that are happening in the crown, and there are many of them. So it's suggesting that there's a lot of these swords coming at us from the crown that are making it difficult to find rest, to find peace. So, how are we growing? This is touching on, for many of us, having worry and anxiety, being plagued with worries and anxieties and things that are keeping our mind very busy. And, this is that tricky, again, tricks, treats, and transformations. The tricky part of one of the aspects of us, a lower vibrational aspect, the mental, is very much about abstract thoughts, you know, things that are not rooted in fact and very often are not based in that at all, you know? And so it's about how much energy we give to things that are rooted in fear, in lower vibrational energies of worry, anxiety, and churning them around. There's a really cool way of putting this in one of Stacey DeMarco's other. Stacey DeMarco is the creator of this Halloween oracle, but also often you'll see me use the Queen of the Moon oracle, which we will be using for our empowerment pack readings this week for the new moon. One of the cards in there, it says, you know, worry is, after all, like chewing gum for the mind. It's not, doesn't like chewing gum. It has no nutritional value. It doesn't really have any other purpose, but it keeps you busy, you know? So it's like chewing gum for the mind is worry, chewing it around, churning it around. And so if once we begin to start to objectively, you know, cut ourselves from those recurring thoughts, worries, beliefs, then we can sort of see them for this, you know, these shadowy figures that perhaps we thought these worries were, that shining the light on them, right? Turning the lamp on, shining the light brings clarity and remembrance. The key word here is remembrance, but remembrance in terms of remember who you are and how powerful you are and how you can ... whatever the thing is that we are worrying about and churning around, that actually it could be quite possible once we believe. Now, the Nine of Swords here, again, I'll show you the close-up so you can see what's happening here with this card. A little message in here that I think, again, is appropriate. So one of the downsides of dressing up as Sleeping Beauty is that if you close your eyes, you don't know who might sneak up to try and kiss you awake. While our mischievous monster was just getting in the spirit of things, Beauty probably wasn't prepared to see such an ugly mug instead of her charming prince. The shock may stick with her a while and maybe keep her up at night. When this card comes up, you are having trouble sleeping or are otherwise fretting over something, or perhaps nothing in particular, but just everything in general. We've all been there. In the language of tarot, swords can represent thoughts. In this card, these thoughts are usually about things you can't do anything about. If there were, then you would just write them down to handle them in the morning and get back to sleep. No, these thoughts are just self-inflicted torture. It's a frustrating card indicating a frustrating situation, and any advice offered will sound patronizing. Whoever comes up with the real cure for this experience will become a millionaire. Yeah, so it's like, great, thanks. I wish I knew how to spit this chewing gum out, you know? Like, if I could turn off the thoughts and have a good night's sleep, I'd be a millionaire, right? If I could figure out how to do that. So yes, there is a very practical, very real perspective that says, yeah, I know, I've tried all those things, you know? But there is this energy of, again, a practice that we can get into of being very mindful of viewing those thoughts like weather that blow in and blow out, and allow them to pass through. I am feeling worry. I am feeling anxiety. However, it does not define me. And so it is passing through. And as I ride the waves, I reach for my tools. And there's so much more to that, but I think that we may be growing into making some headway there, you know, really knowing, you know, what works for us and how we can best come back into center, and how we may even be able to turn off some of that monkey mind if that's how it's expressing itself for you. But in any event, I think it's noteworthy about saying, like, these things that we repeat over and over and over again, that, you know, yeah, if it was something I could do something about, I could simply make my list, write it down, and go do it and be done with it. But oftentimes it's something that we actually have very little control over, you know, and there's not much that we can do about it because it might be something that's very intangible. It's simply a worry that we have that maybe doesn't even have any basis in fact. So, you know, it's coming to looking at those things through this higher perspective, this different lens that may help us to start to make some real headway on overcoming some of those types of challenges that keep us, feeling unrested, feeling not at peace in our mind. And so if there are thoughts that you've really been finding yourself spinning your wheels on, there could be some very practical steps that you could take to help you to manifest with this new moon energy that's coming in more peace and more balance when it comes to allowing these things to move through, to see what they're showing up to demonstrate for you, to highlight, to illuminate for you, and then allowing them to go. So, again, I think too that you might need more rest too. There's a little note here for people to, when you can, where you can, trying to get more rest or allowing yourself to be in more of a mind, like just tuning out state. So whether that's listening to music or some type of a guided meditation or, something that allows you to check out from some of that headsiness for a bit could also be advisable. So let's go ahead and see what's coming up on Friday the 13th. Okay, we have made our way to Friday the 13th, and we have the Munsters coming in here with the 10 of Pentacles. How fun is that? So we have this family, this frightening family. So it was believed to be, yet those of you who are familiar with the television show, The Munsters, taking it back a bit, showing my age perhaps, that they were actually quite the normal family despite what it may have seemed on the outside. And so I think that's a little nod to some of the energy that I want to share with you. I'm going to share a little more for Friday, but a previous posts and information that I've shared in the past on prior Friday the 13th have brought forward, some insight into Friday the 13th for me is representing, reminding us that words cast spells, that when we put our energy into things that we believe, when we put intentions, words and intentions behind something, that brings it into being. So choose wisely, right? So this energy of words cast spells, that's why it's called spelling, right? Spelling it out. So there's this energy of a belief, a modern belief that says Friday the 13th is bad luck, that we should cower under our covers, watch out for, all of this superstitious stuff that is going to bring all of this bad energy upon us, right? Which brings me here, right? Brings me into worry and churning around things and believing something that then starts to take on a life of its own. Whereas this takes us back into much, much earlier days where actually Friday the 13th and Fridays in general, Fridays were considered the day of the goddess, Freya's day, Freya the goddess. And again, like I said, I'm going to share some more information on this week. But Friday the 13th was considered a day of the goddesses. It was considered to be a day to honor the divine feminine. And so it was a powerful day to manifest, to honor creativity, and to celebrate beauty, wisdom, and nourishment of the soul. So what I think is really beautiful about this is, of course, the 10 of Pentacles represents family and generations. It brings in 3 generations that represents legacy, represents inheritance, represents the richness of what our family lines, ancestors bring forward for us. And so I think that's kind of cool to think that, before the movies, before Hollywood and the advent of Jason and Friday the 13th, much further back, in our ancestors' history, this was actually a very powerful day for manifesting and for honoring the divine feminine. So very curious and interesting that it was vilified and turned into something of darkness rather than continuing to carry the high vibration and celebratory nature that it once did. This is wrapping up the week, but I'm also speaking to sort of the origins of this Friday the 13th energy that we find ourselves in, which has this larger message of What are your beliefs? What are your intentions? What seeds are you planting? Because if you're coming from this hollow victory, this disintegratous place, or a place that's very much with the swords, right? 5 of swords, 9 of swords, lots of thoughts and ideas and beliefs in the head that can almost become torturous, that can actually become so out of alignment from your most genuine, authentic self, standing in your power, shining your light, staying steadfast in your beliefs of hope and promise and all the things that we've been talking about all week. This is also shining a light on family, on generations, on, again, the inherited wisdom. And so that along with some of the challenges and the struggles and the things that we are juggling, right? All the pumpkins, also are great strengths, great attributes that we have, tools that we have that can help us to navigate these challenging times, these choppy waters, these very active days, these times where there's a lot that is up in the air, right? That we're figuring out, collectively and individually in so many different ways, that we actually can lean into a very rich history and a very rich foundation that we can pull from in order to help us to navigate these high seas, right? So I'm feeling like a little connectedness here between all of that. And then of course the fact that it happens to be Friday the 13th and there's more to be gleaned from there. So, I think, some of the highlights this week, Tuesday is 1010, the 1010 portal, amplifying that energy. Tens, of course, a 10 and 1, 1 plus 0 is 1. So a 10 and a 1 brings in endings, culminations of one thing, and on the other side is the new, the one, that is something new starting, a new stage, a new phase, a new generation, a new wave. So the 10-10 energy really amplifies this. And like I said, we'll feel into that more this week. I'm going to do a pick a door where I have different doors that are seasonal, and you can pick which door or doors are speaking to you, and behind those doors will be a special message. So we'll be doing that this week for Tuesday with 1010. As I mentioned, some of the other dates of mention here this week, but then we go into this Friday the 13th energy. And on the other side, that new moon and the eclipse in Libra. So it is going to be a week for sure, full of the tricks, the treats, and the transformations are certain on the other end of this. We are all undergoing this process together. And so there is something to be said there as well for a sense of strength and unity in knowing that we are all undergoing our own individual metamorphosis, and that these are very personal and very specific to each of us being where we are, and greeting each day with an openness and acceptance to just being here now, being present and moving through whatever comes in each moment. Remember, if you would like to work more closely with me to get a sense of exactly what may be coming up for you, to tap into your specific energies of any given relationship, or how you can best work with this new moon, or if you have something of specific interest that you want to delve into more deeply, I would be happy to work with you. There are so many different ways that we can work together this month. In addition to a number of different empowered tarot sessions, I do also have some really beautiful color healing sessions available as well. Since we're talking about the 10 of Pentacles, ancestral healing and inner child healing are two very popular options right now that I have been working on with a number of people at this time to really tap into some profound healing and awarenesses. That this is a beautiful time for those things to come through as well, along with cord cutting and fall cleanings and spring cleanings and kind of clearing out and creating space, and however you may feel called. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you would like to know more about any of those offerings. But I thank you all so much for joining me here. I hope you find these messages to resonate. I would love to hear from you throughout the week on how they may be coming forward for you. And once again, if you would like a personal card pull for this week, just reply here to the message or send me a note, and we will pull a Halloween tarot card for you this week too. All right, guys, wishing you a fantastic week, and we will talk soon. Much love.